Guys, I'm still thinking about that 35-6 beatdown we took from the Jaguars. I can't shake it off because that game just ripped the lid right off everything we've been trying to ignore about this defense. And honestly, the most telling moment came from Khalil Mack himself after watching our guys completely fall apart out there. Then on offense, losing Justin Herbert in the middle of the game just shut down any hope we had of making a comeback. And now there's this whole debate going on about who should even be on the field, especially after what happened with their offensive line. We completely missed out on the chance to grab someone in the market who could have helped us, and people are rightfully calling out the front office for that. What all this means for the rest of our season has every single fan stressed out, me included. What's up, Chargers fans? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Chargers. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about breaking down everything you need to know about the Bolts. So that loss to Jacksonville is still echoing in my head because it wasn't just about the final score being ugly. It was watching error after error pile up and expose everything our defense had been barely holding together. We went into that game knowing we had to show up strong, right in the middle of a playoff race, but the whole thing fell apart early. Losing Herbert killed any offensive rhythm we might have had. But the real gut punch was watching our defense get completely trampled without being able to hit back at all. Jacksonville controlled the clock, controlled the pace, controlled the field however they wanted. And when Khalil Mack talked to the media after the game, you could hear it in his voice that he had enough. No corporate speak, no canned answers. It was pure emotion from a guy who lives and breathes every single snap. That kind of message hits different in the locker room because you can't just brush off a game where you give up almost 200 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. Jacksonville had the ball for over 37 minutes, kept us chasing shadows the entire time, and exposed the defense that's supposed to have a strong identity under Jesse Minter. But this time, nothing clicked. Even Trevor Lawrence, who didn't put up crazy numbers, knew exactly how to take advantage every time our guys misread the run. And when that becomes the pattern for an entire game, everything just collapses. We're used to flipping the switch when we need to, but it was obvious we didn't have the emotional or technical answer when the score started getting away from us. Honestly, this is one of those losses that hurts more because of the attitude than the actual numbers. Max saying he's pissed off shows the level of accountability inside that locker room because he's not the type to play for the cameras. When he says he doesn't have panic in him and that there's no quit in his blood, he's making it crystal clear that the problem isn't effort. It's execution, it's discipline, it's owning every mistake without making excuses. And that weighs heavy because when a leader like that speaks up, the whole team feels it.
The one good thing, if there even is a silver lining here, is that this bye week came at the perfect time. Most people don't realize how much a break like this can change the internal energy of a team. There's film study, there are touch conversations, technical adjustments, and most importantly, that reality check that can prevent a losing streak from spiraling. Our next game against the Las Vegas Raiders becomes a test to see if we absorb the message or not. So drop your thoughts in the comments because I genuinely want to know if you think this was just a fluke or a warning sign of bigger problems. The fan perspective always catches things we miss. Now, let me talk about what happened with the offense in that same game because it opens up a whole different conversation. This part hits different because it shows how our offense went into a complete tailspin at the worst possible moment. We actually started off okay, went up 3-0 really quick, but that was basically just the breath before the storm hit. Nothing worked after that. Jacksonville started imposing their will, and our offense became hostage to its own limitations. And here's where it gets really tense. Our offensive line, which has been struggling all year, completely melted down. Justin Herbert was getting pressure from the jump, took unnecessary hits, and any rhythm we might have had just died before it could get going. But what shocked me the most was seeing Trevor Penning, the guy we just traded for, get benched in the fourth quarter. That's insane. You don't see that often, especially on a team trying to stay competitive at the top of the division. The trade for him was supposed to solve at least one of our holes up front, but clearly the fit isn't working yet. When you break down the impact, it gets even worse. The line allowed 5 pressures just from Penning's side, and that number destroyed any chance of keeping our offensive game plan alive. No running plays worked, no clean pocket for Herbert, no sustained blocking. The result was an offense that got stuck with only 81 passing yards and lost more confidence with every drive. It gets even harsher when you remember we've already given up 37 sacks this season, a number that completely changes how Herbert can operate. And here's the thing. When you're constantly shuffling pieces because of injuries, adjustments, or poor performance, no chemistry can develop. It's all just patchwork and technical improvisation, and the offense feels it snap after snap. To be fair, you can't put all the blame on Penning because he walked into the middle of chaos and got thrown straight into the fire. He was playing left guard for the Saints before we traded for him, and switching back to tackle at the last minute is a huge ask for any player. But you also can't ignore that it was a weak performance at a moment when we have zero margin for error. Some fans think the benching was punishment, others think it was just a decision because the game was already out of reach. Looking from the outside, I see it as a mix of both. The offense needed to breathe, needed to protect Herbert, needed to prevent more damage. When things go off the rails like that, making a change makes sense. This bye week is practically therapy to readjust mechanics, get some reps in, and rebuild confidence. What almost nobody's talking about is that this moment could define the rest of our year. If Penning comes back more prepared, great. If he doesn't, then the conversation changes completely. Now, let me touch on something that's been annoying a lot of fans, and honestly, it frustrates me too. There's nothing worse than seeing an opportunity pass right in front of your team and watching them do nothing about it. The Colton Scourton situation is exactly that. We're struggling with something everyone already knows about. When our defense can't stop the run, we fall apart. Then, a player who's good at that exact thing, a guy with championship experience who's available on the market, shows up for a visit. You think, okay, now we're about to make a move, but nothing happened. He visited, it seemed like an obvious fit, and meanwhile, we just stayed quiet like we were waiting for the market to solve itself.
The worst part is this happened right after the most painful loss of the year, when everyone expected a quick response. A move that would show we're not going to sit still and watch the same problem repeat itself. When you look at the impact of not making a move, it becomes clear why fans are losing patience. It's obvious our defense crumbles when we can't shut down the middle. It happened against Jacksonville, and it's happened in other big losses. We lost Poona Ford and never truly replaced him. Taylor Start needs a partner, someone to share the load, because doing it alone just doesn't work in the NFL. Then a guy surfaces who's ready to play with the style that fits, and we watch him sign with another team. Man, that stings because it's not just about talent, it's about timing. Every fan knows that bringing in reinforcement at this point in the season changes not just the technique, but the energy of the whole group. When the roster feels like someone's coming to help carry the burden, the vibe shifts. When nobody shows up, it feels like everyone's rowing with half a broken oar. What's most frustrating is that we actually made some good moves this year. The trade for Odafe Oweh earlier was genius and has already paid off in different ways. But when you get one thing right and fumble another, it feels like we're always playing catch-up. This bothers me because our offense is suffering too, with injuries to Joe Alts and Rashawn Slater. Herbert's out there trying to solve everything with his arm, but that only works when you've got some support from the defense. When we fall behind, we become predictable and easy to read, and that opens up a vicious cycle. The defense can't hold, the offense has to take risks, the defense comes back tired, and the game implodes. There's one detail not many people are mentioning. This kind of missed opportunity shows whether we want to compete now or later. Maybe we're waiting for the bye week to make a move, but every day that passes without bringing someone in makes the sense of urgency decrease. After everything I've talked about here, you can feel how each piece of news pushes us fans into this weird mix of frustration and hope. The defense took a beating, the offense went sideways when we needed it most, we missed out on the market, and there were coaching decisions that didn't sit well with people. Even with all that, there's still a way to turn this around because we have leadership, we have talent, and we have accountability inside that building. Drop your thoughts below because this space belongs to all of us who live and breathe the Chargers. I'll see you in the next one.